Bring us to your poetry from inspiration sought. Come join us with your images, your verses, words, and thought. From here, we'll share your balladry with those who do not know it. This platform's here for you to show the world that you're the poet.
Welcome to episode 41 of You're the Poet, the poetry podcast featuring you. I'm host Matt Burgio, and I'm here with co-host Phil Burgio. Phil, welcome.
Anytime.
Here at You're the Poet, our purpose is to share our love of poetry with the world and invite you to do the same. I want to start by saying thank you to all of our listeners who have made You're the Poet possible. We hope you enjoyed the podcast and the poetry that is shared here. Our featured guest for this episode of You're the Poet is returning guest Travis Hupp, who is joining us from Virginia. Travis, welcome back to You're the Poet.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're glad you could join us, and we look forward to your contribution to the episode.
Thanks.
To start things off, I'm going to turn it over to Phil to share our classic poem for the episode.
Okay, this poem was inspired by a book I just finished reading, a science fiction book, Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. I read it years ago when I was in high school. Actually, I read it in French in my French class, but it's translated in English, and in the French version, it does rhyme. But here's the English translation. The evening bell. The boat fled on the fugitive wave, the night stretching out like a peaceful evening. To the pale sky moon, meditative, led a sweet shelter in his black garment. In the misty distance, a plaintive bell sighs a pious sound at the steeple of the manor. The holy noise comes to pass to the attentive ear, like a shadow that the eye sometimes thinks it glimpses. To the pious voice, the docile basket of the quivering wave stops, then wavers, and on the sleeping wave, without waking it, falls asleep. The seafarer moves by a rough and dignified hand, curves her wrinkled brow, devoutly crosses herself, and the boat resumes its march towards the port. Jules Verne.
All right, thank you for sharing.
That was an interesting poem.
Yeah. It was kind of dark and enigmatic and kind of foreboding, but then with a sense of kind of everything being cradled in the hands of fate or some kind of predestination as well.
Right, right.
And I could picture the scene. I've done a lot of boating and a lot of kayaking throughout the country here, even a lot of night kayaking. I love doing the night paddle or full moon paddle, as I call it.
Full moon tonight, get your kayak out.
I'd love to. You know, you hear things across the water, and I can just picture kind of hearing this bell coming across the water at night and sort of that somber, just that somber sound that kind of puts you in that pensive mood.
Yeah.
I like the imagery he captures there with that.
Well, one thing I noticed on a translation, it doesn't flow as good as probably does with the original poem.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I was coming out. I'm always hesitant about translated poetry because I feel like with this one, you can get the gist of what's going on. But I feel like poetry is such a nuanced art of language and syllables and inflections and sounds that there has to be something lost in translation.
But I had to pick this one.
Something changed at the very least, because little things that a translator might interpret one way or another can really change the meaning a lot.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The
Yeah.
history shows that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Phil. From here, we're going to move to my poem for the episode. When looking at a poem to pick out for this episode, I realized that I picked this out yesterday on June 9th, and I realized that I wrote this poem on June 9th back in 2004, and I was surprised that it's been 21 years. This is just a simple ballad that's just depicting a scene that I saw outside of my apartment that reminded me of a Christmas tree, even though it was muggy and hot in June. So this is called A Christmas Tree in June. Tall and green the big tree grows, laced in garland of flowers white, and just above in open sky, a star now twinkles with its light. Nature adds its blinking bulbs with little bugs who dance and play, and down below we reap the gifts that underneath the tree now lay. When dawning sun across the hedge glistens off the morning dew, we'll see the flowers and the birds, and even honeysuckle too. And though the air is sticky sweet, and here no snow in June will fall, at least this tree will have to share until the Christmas spirit calls. Matthew Burgio.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, last night I was watching the lightning bugs. Got a lot more lightning bugs yesterday than we did a couple days ago.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen any here yet. I saw some down in Kentucky around the Mammoth Cave area, but have not seen lightning
They were
bugs yet.
sparkling last night.
Yeah, just a simple poem. A lot of times I see something that seems out of the ordinary that, makes me think of something. So like obviously just looking at this giant evergreen tree that kind of had the look of a Christmas tree outside the apartment in June. So just wanted to capture that.
Yeah, there's beautiful moments like that are kind of unusual and striking. They're definitely worth memorializing in poetry. That's one of the best things that poetry can do, I think.
Amen.
Yeah. All right, going to turn it back over to Phil to share his poem for the episode.
This poem, I named it Pensieri Spontanei. In Latin, it means spontaneous thoughts. Poetry is made for days like these, with warm sun and gentle breeze. Outside with wine or a cup of tea, I let the inspirations come to me. Listening to the singing birds, communicate without spoken words. But poets must use their written view to express perspectives, their ideas too. Oh, to reveal like the feathered throng, with warbles, trills, a melodious song. Philip Burgio.
All right, thank you.
Just while sitting out there having a glass of wine, it's like, listen to the birds and just came to me. Let's write something.
That had a really good lyrical flow to it. I really enjoyed that.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I really like how that last line, the to reveal like the feathered throng. So if we could recite poetry like the birds, I like that concept that we have to use spoken words.
And that was back in April when the migrations were coming through, and our yard is wooded, and the birds were just singing and noisy and twittering and the whole bit.
Lovely.
All right, from here we want to move to our guest section of the episode. Travis, you're the poet. Show us what you've got.
All right. All these poems that I'm going to read today are from my upcoming poetry collection, my third one that's going to be published on July 22nd of this year. Collection is called American Entropy, and this one is called It's Not Too Late. Looks like I'll have to do things differently. No more hitting and missing intermittently. Got to buckle down and not knuckle under. Reclaim my mind and unearth wonder. Howling dogs and circling bats. New dawn awaits and darkness won't last. Yesterday droned on destitute. My meaning got lost and my muse went mute. But there's a part of me that still knows what to do. Power through and write what's true. What's true is I've been stuck here, coming unglued. Eyes shut tight, conjuring up a better view than the sorry sight of the aimless life I've led, letting liars and defilers get in my head. Enough of that and enough of losing, enough blood bled and enough ego bruising. I'll limp towards love till I'm fit to outrun demons and downfalls with shackles undone. I've got friends I know would hide me from the consequences I've been inviting, but I can face into the fire and find the poems burning down in spires. I always knew I wasn't born to wallow without evolving, cocooned in squalor, without challenging the trauma traders who corrupt you, crush you, and leave you cratered. So I say here and now I'm in this fight. I'll stop living wrong and fumble towards right. I'll make my mother in heaven feel proud. I'll show up on time to show what I'm about. It's something I learned but forgot to remember when every turn I took was another dead ender. When every trick I knew, the devil knew too. When tawdry temptation was a damn heady brew. I can't unwaste a single day, but I can pray it's not too late. I can't shoulder sad, sick shame, so I'm setting out to redeem my name. I'm here and I'll recognize what's mine, grab what I'm given tight when stars align. I won't say screw it, I'll say faster. Speed is my steed for skirting disaster. By Travis Hupp.
All right, thank you for sharing. I really liked that.
I get the impression of like a drum solo. You know,
Thank you.
I like that rhythm. That was good.
Thank you very much.
Great, definitely great for the spoken word, and great to hear it here on the podcast where we can actually hear the audio of you.
Right. If we would have read it, I wouldn't have got the same feeling just reading it. It's spoken word.
Yeah. When I wrote it, certain poems that I write have a feeling of like breathless energy that comes through me when I write them. So like that, I tend to write them all as one long stanza. So it kind of preserves that breathless energy. So I think it does still come through on the printed page kind of, but yeah, it's always a little bit different to read it than it is to hear somebody else read it out loud, especially the poet.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and it definitely does work on the page, but we just love hearing the poetry, especially coming from the poet themselves.
Yeah, it is. It is special.
I will say I liked a couple lines there. I love that my meaning got lost and my muse went mute, but there's a part of me that still knows what to do. I thought that was great.
Thank you.
And I love that it's something I learned but forgot to remember when every turn I took was another dead ender. That was another good line.
Thank you. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, Travis, got another one for us?
Yeah, I got a couple more. This one is called What All I Like. I like this journal. The pages are heavy. I'm getting after it, attacking it with poetry. I like dogs whose paws run on air in their sleep and cats who do the flirt flop in front of you. I'm reacquainting myself with what all I like because I remember joy belongs to me too. I like the way you lean when you say yo, tilting forward like you might fall on me. I'd like the chance to catch you in my arms like in my dreams. I like blue, 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 and all variations splashed all over everything. I'm tripping out of tune, but I also like to sing. I like food, 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 savored and shared or mine all mine voraciously. I like a man whose appetites easily outmatch his apathy. Comics from Marvel I really like. I like writing poems about Gambit. If you're injured or falling ill, I like riding with you in the ambulance. I like a lot of things I recall. This list could get quite long, but mostly I like it when you're here more than when you're gone. By Travis Hupp.
Good. Fur flop, that's when the cats just flop in front of you.
Yeah.
Mine was up on my keyboard early before this, and she fur flops on the keyboard or on the desk.
Yeah.
She doesn't bother us here because Matt brings his dog, so she goes and hides.
Oh, I got dogs and cats wrestling for my attention while I'm doing this episode.
Yeah.
Cat's trying to nudge my book out of my hands, and
Yeah.
the dog gets running everywhere. And
They're such a, excuse my language, but cats are such a tension horse. It's just pet me, you know?
yeah, they really are.
Yep.
When they decide they want it right then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like he mentioned, I always tell my wife I like taking the dog over here to the studio because it keeps the cat off of us. She would be up on the desk walking on keyboards, and but she stays away, and he'll just lay down by our feet. He likes to be with us, but he'll just lay down and be in the presence there. I really like what you did here, and I like the whole first part of this. I like how it's talking about sort of all these things that inspire you, and it reminded me of the poem that Phil shared in episode 40 about which muse should I choose.
Yeah.
And it seemed like there's all these different things that can inspire you and, get you to be writing in that poetry journal. And then I like how even when you get to the end, you kind of bring it to that directed at the person but mostly I like it when you're here more than when you're gone. So I kind of like how you're making all those analogies in reference to missing somebody.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really happy with the ending of that too. That's one of my pieces that I'm just overall quite happy with. I'm glad that you liked it.
Yeah, it's a great job with that. All right, before we go to the next poem, Travis, we want to hear a little bit about what you've been up to. You were on last on episode 16, so this is episode 41.
Right.
I believe I looked it up. I think it was last October 1st, I think is when we re-recorded episode 16 with you. So you already mentioned your book. Tell us a little bit more about that adventure and what else you've been up to.
Okay. Well, American Entropy, like I said, is my third poetry collection coming out July 22nd. It has themes and topics of resilience, standing with marginalized people, standing against authoritarianism, finding gods even amid ruins when things look dark, increasing empathy between people, finding humor, even if it's dark humor, even when things are really hard, when it's most important. I write about the color blue a lot in it, write about nature, and I continue to write more about the metaphysical, things like these voices that I hear sometimes that I've always heard since I was a kid that some people say are just hallucinations, but I think might actually be some kind of communication from some other realm because they seem very intelligent when I hear them. I don't hear them all the time, but I hear them here and there. So I write about that as well. Just a whole bunch of things with a focus on finding hope in the darkness, because I think it's a very dark time in America right now. And a lot of things going on dividing us and making people feel hopeless and making people want to give up. But I acknowledge all of that, and I insist on finding that through line of hope. So that's been a big focus of American Entropy. And then since then, I've just been writing a bunch more poetry. I've already got enough together almost for a fourth poetry collection. I'm continuing to find that thread of hope in my new work as well, for the most part.
Who's the publisher of your book?
Atmosphere Press.
Nice. We'll definitely keep a lookout for that. And is it out for pre-order, or will not be available until the 22nd?
I'm not sure. I'd have to check with my publisher for that. I believe with my other books, they were available for pre-order like about a week in advance.
Okay.
I'm ashamed to say I don't know 100% for sure about that.
That's okay. I just definitely when that comes out, send me a reminder and we'll definitely get that out there on our You're the Poet Facebook group and things and let people know that that's out there and we'll share a link to that when it comes out.
Okay, thank you. I'll do that. I appreciate that.
That's what we're here for.
Right?
Trying to get Matt to move along with our book. Anyway, Travis, give us another one.
Okay. This one is called Whoever You Are. Why would I even remember you at all? Tell me one good reason, whoever you are. Prod out one good memory, if you even can, from the seedy underbelly of bad juju's natural habitat. Who would you even say came by to call? Tell me what this season finds your nom de guerre. Rattle the names off that caged you before. The call signs, the rapper handles, the winter or its war. Where will you seduce springtime? And where will your autumn groupies caravan to fall? Quell my hypnic jitters, spill the tea, suss the sauce. Put your power move in the planner. Keep your fandom fibrillating and paying to wait. To see you flip your hair, to snare sips of your rarefied air, limping to line up, first row from your fresh face, overplaying strange charades. By Travis Hupp.
All these poems are in your book, right?
Right.
Okay, good job, man. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of good imagery there in terms of the mystery of like this whoever you are person.
Yeah.
And I like some of the things you do with that. I like some of the language you use with the rapper handles and even the sus the sauce.
Yeah.
Just some of that language I thought was great getting some of that in there.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought it had some playful phraseology there. Kind of dirtied it up a little bit. Some.
Yeah, I like that playful phraseology. That's a good term. I like that.
Mark that one down.
Right. All right. Well, Travis, is there anything else you'd like to say about poetry in general or anything before we move on?
Just that it continues to be a lifeline for me and a way to commune with higher powers and a way to do everything from document my pets' lives, which is another thing my poetry focuses on a lot, to dealing with things like I think I mentioned to you in the email that I have some test results coming up to see if something that's grown on my pancreas is cancerous or just benign. So poetry has helped me focus on other things and get that out of my head the past few days. So that's been really helpful. I'm grateful to have the ability to translate it.
I'll keep you in my prayers because my wife passed from that.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Prayer definitely works. So yeah, please do.
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, we believe in the power of prayer and we'll definitely keep you in our thoughts and prayers there and let us know how things go.
Let's pray it's benign.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we don't have any feedback for this episode, so we're just going to wrap things up, and we want our listeners to know that we are grateful that you've taken the time to tune in. We hope you're enjoying the poetry shared here, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with others. If you would like to support You're the Poet and what we are doing here, we have set up a patron site at buymeacoffee.com/you'rethepoet. Thank you for your support as we continue to grow. If you've written any poetry and you want to share it here, whether you just have an interest in poetry, consider yourself an amateur poet, or are a professional poet with published works, contact us to be a guest on a future episode. Please check out our website and various social media outlets to keep up to date with You're the Poet. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website, you'rethepoet.com. Until next time, Phil, thanks for joining us.
Anytime.
Travis, thanks for coming back and talking to us again.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Good luck with your book.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Goodbye.